William and I have seen that many young people are struggling to cope with the impact of bullying.
The royal family is often seen as the pinnacle of grace, control, and tradition. Every step they take, every word they speak, is carefully curated for the public eye. But every now and then, something slips through the cracks. Something raw, real, and completely unfiltered. That's exactly what happened when Kate Middleton, the ever-poised Duchess of Cambridge, found herself in a moment she thought was away from the cameras. What she did during those unguarded seconds was completely unexpected, something no one could have predicted. It was honest, it was surprising, and it gave a rare glimpse into the woman behind the royal title. And yes, the cameras were rolling the entire time. The modern royal Kate Middleton is no stranger to public attention, yet she carries it with a calm dignity that feels almost effortless. Her journey from being a commoner to a royal icon is the stuff of modern fairy tales, yet she makes no effort to detach herself from her roots. Born as Catherine Elizabeth Middleton in Berkshire, England, Kate's upbringing was grounded and relatable. Her parents, self-made entrepreneurs, instilled in her values of hard work, kindness, and humility, qualities that continue to shine in her royal role. Unlike the pomp and strict formality often associated with royalty, Kate embodies a refreshing blend of sophistication and accessibility. She represents a new era of monarchy where connecting with people takes precedence over merely being revered from a distance. Have you ever wondered what makes a modern royal truly beloved? It's not the jewels, it's the heart. The balancing act. Stepping into the royal spotlight as Prince William's wife came with its share of expectations. Kate's role is not just about dazzling appearances at state dinners or waving gracefully from gilded balconies. It's about being a bridge between the monarchy and the people, and she walks this tightrope with remarkable poise. On one hand, there are centuries-old traditions to uphold, representing the crown at official engagements, supporting the Commonwealth, and honoring the legacy of the late Queen Elizabeth II. On the other hand, there's the need to remain relevant and relatable to the public. Kate has mastered this delicate balance by embracing causes that resonate with ordinary people: mental health awareness, early childhood development, and community building. How does she make it look so seamless? It's her ability to bring humanity to royalty. The power of relatability. What sets Kate apart from many of her predecessors is her ability to make people feel seen and heard. She is often spotted engaging with children at charity events, sharing a laugh with volunteers, or having genuine conversations with veterans and senior citizens. Her warmth is not an act, it's a reflection of her values. Kate doesn't just show up to cut ribbons or deliver rehearsed speeches, she listens. When she speaks about the importance of mental health, it's not from a detached podium but from a place of understanding. She's even opened up about her own challenges as a mother, bridging the gap between her royal status and the realities faced by parents everywhere. Can you imagine a royal speaking openly about sleepless nights and parenting struggles? Kate does. A champion of simplicity. Despite her high-profile status, Kate Middleton values simplicity. Whether it's re-wearing outfits, shopping at local stores, or choosing practical yet elegant clothing, her choices speak volumes. This is a woman who understands that style isn't about excess, it's about authenticity. Her love for nature and the outdoors is another testament to her grounded personality. Kate has often shared how much she enjoys spending time in the countryside with her family, going for walks, and encouraging her children to explore and connect with the natural world. These moments, far removed from the glitz and glamour, are what recharge her and keep her centered. Isn't it fascinating how someone living in palaces can find joy in a simple walk through the woods? Compassion at her core. Kate's compassion is not performative. It's deeply ingrained in her actions. Her work with organizations like Heads Together, which focuses on mental health, shows her commitment to creating a world where people can talk openly about their struggles. She has personally visited hospitals, schools, and shelters, not as a figurehead, but as someone genuinely interested in understanding the challenges people face. Her advocacy for early childhood development is another example of her hands-on approach. Kate launched the Royal Foundation Center for Early Childhood, emphasizing the importance of a strong foundation in the early years of life. She isn't afraid to dive into the details, meeting with researchers, educators, and parents to understand how to best support children and families. What drives someone to champion causes so close to the heart? For Kate, it's simple. Empathy. A princess for the people. One of the most endearing qualities about Kate Middleton is her ability to connect with people from all walks of life. She's as comfortable chatting with world leaders as she is kneeling down to speak with a child at eye level. This versatility makes her a beloved figure across generations. At royal engagements, she's known for her personal touch. A warm smile, a heartfelt compliment, or even a small gesture like picking up a fallen flower from a child. All these moments reveal a woman who values human connection above all. Her kindness isn't reserved for cameras, it's consistent, whether in grand palaces or quiet villages. Isn't it rare to find someone who is both regal and relatable? Kate makes it seem natural. The legacy she's building. Kate Middleton is not just a royal figure, she's a role model. Her ability to inspire people comes from her authenticity. She doesn't try to be perfect, and perhaps that's why she resonates so deeply. Her focus is on building a meaningful legacy, not through grand gestures, but through small, impactful actions that ripple through communities. Whether it's comforting a child, advocating for a cause, or simply showing up with genuine warmth, Kate's actions remind us that kindness can be transformative. She's proving that royalty isn't about being above people. It's about standing with them. What kind of legacy does Kate Middleton want to leave behind? One rooted in kindness and connection. A reflection of modern values. Kate Middleton embodies what many people long to see in public figures today. Humility, compassion, and a willingness to engage. She's not just a princess in title. She's a symbol of hope, showing that even in the most traditional institutions, there's room for progress and humanity. Her life isn't just a fairy tale. It's a lesson in how to balance duty with authenticity, tradition with modernity. And in doing so, she has redefined what it means to be a royal in the 21st century. What makes a royal truly unforgettable? It's the ability to leave a mark not on history, but on hearts. Kate's journey to the charity event. On a quiet autumn evening, the streets of London shimmered softly under a light mist. It wasn't the kind of night meant for grandeur or spotlight. It was one meant for quiet moments and unseen connections. This is the very atmosphere Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales, stepped into as she chose an understated path to a charity event. Her destination wasn't a grand hall or an elaborate fundraiser. Instead, it was a small, modest gathering tucked away in a neighborhood unadorned by the usual glamour of royal life. What does a princess do when no one is looking? Kate's approach was anything but conventional for a royal. Rather than arriving with the ceremonial flair of motorcades and flashing lights, she opted for a low-profile journey in a simple car. Her attire was equally unassuming, casual yet elegant, a far cry from the gowns and tiaras often associated with royalty. She was there to blend in, to feel the world as ordinary people do, to shed the weight of her title for just a moment. As the car moved quietly through the damp streets, Kate looked out the window. The city was alive in its own subdued way. The glow of streetlights reflecting off wet pavements, couples strolling arm in arm, and shopkeepers shutting their stores for the night. Each scene unfolded like a story, and Kate, ever perceptive, absorbed it all. This wasn't just idle observation. It was her way of grounding herself in the world she served. What draws a princess to the simple stories of the streets? She passed small shops still illuminated by the warm glow of their interiors, the faint hum of conversations slipping through the cracks of closing doors. There was something profoundly human about it all, something that reminded Kate of the deeper purpose behind her role. As she gazed out, her thoughts lingered on the lives of the people she served. What were their struggles? Their joys? This quiet car ride wasn't just a commute. It was a reflection, a window into the heartbeat of the community she cared so deeply about. Encounter with the man in distress. The car slowed as it approached a quieter street, one where the light drizzle seemed to amplify the stillness. Kate's driver, aware of her preference for discretion, brought the car to a gentle stop. It was then that Kate noticed something unusual. Across the street, a man was pacing nervously, his movements restless and unsure. What happens when a moment of hesitation meets a heart full of compassion? Kate leaned forward slightly, her brows furrowed. The man's shoulders were hunched against the drizzle, and he kept glancing over his shoulder, as if expecting someone, or something. His unease was palpable, even from a distance. The security officer in the front seat followed her gaze and hesitated. "Could be nothing, ma'am," he said cautiously. But Kate wasn't convinced. What happened next is a testament to her character. Where others might have dismissed the situation as not their problem, Kate saw it as an opportunity to step in. Despite her security officer's insistence to handle the matter himself, Kate made a firm decision. "No, I'll go," she said, her voice calm but resolute. "How far would you go to help someone in need?" She stepped out of the car, the drizzle immediately meeting her skin, but she paid it no mind. The man, still pacing, hadn't noticed her yet. Her footsteps were deliberate but unthreatening as she crossed the street. "Excuse me," she called gently, her voice cutting through the quiet hum of rain. The man froze, startled. His eyes darted to her, then to the car idling across the street, and back to her again. There was confusion in his expression, mixed with a wary defensiveness. He gripped the strap of his bag tightly, his body language screaming unease. But Kate, true to her nature, radiated calm and warmth. "Are you all right?" she asked softly, her tone steady and kind. It wasn't a question of idle curiosity. It was one of genuine concern. The man stammered a reply, but it was clear he was struggling to form the words. I'm fine," he said, though his voice betrayed him. It trembled under the weight of whatever burden he was carrying. Kate tilted her head slightly, studying him with empathetic eyes. His face was worn, lined with stress, and his movements were jittery, as if he'd been on edge for far too long. "What do you say to someone whose world feels like it's falling apart? Are you sure?" She pressed gently, her voice never losing its softness. The man hesitated, his eyes darting down the street before returning to her. Finally, he exhaled sharply, his words spilling out in a rushed confession. I don't know where to go," he admitted. His hand gestured vaguely toward the darkened stretch of road ahead, frustration and fear lacing his every movement. Kate stepped a little closer, her posture open and non-threatening. "It's all right," she said reassuringly. "You're safe here. Do you need help?" For a moment, the man didn't respond. His eyes searched hers, as though trying to decide if he could trust her. Whatever he saw in her expression must have convinced him, because his grip on his bag loosened slightly. "I don't know," he said finally. "I've been walking for hours. I didn't mean to cause trouble. I just—" His voice trailed off, heavy with exhaustion. Kate nodded, her gaze thoughtful. "It's late," she said gently, "and you shouldn't be out here alone. Let me help you." The man took a step back, uncertainty flashing across his face. "Why would you?" he asked, suspicion creeping into his tone. Kate's smile was small, but genuine. "Because sometimes we all need a little help," she said simply. "How often do we forget the power of a small gesture of kindness?" She turned and walked back to the car, her movements as calm as before. Leaning into the window, she spoke softly to the security officer. "He needs help," she said. "Could you call someone? Perhaps a shelter or a local charity?" The officer hesitated for only a moment before nodding. "Of course," he replied. Kate glanced back toward the man, who was still standing at the curb, his posture slightly less tense now. When she returned to him, she said with quiet confidence, "We'll find somewhere for you to go. You're not alone anymore." For the first time, the man's expression softened. He didn't have the words to express his gratitude, but the look in his eyes said it all. As Kate returned to the car to finalize the details with her security officer, the man stood in place, watching her with a sense of quiet awe. He wasn't just in need of shelter, he was in need of someone to see him, to treat him as a human being, not as a problem. And that, in this brief moment, is exactly what Kate had done. Sometimes, the greatest gift you can offer someone is not fixing their problem, but showing them that they are not invisible. The aftermath. The encounter between Kate Middleton and the man that night may have seemed like an ordinary exchange to any casual observer, but for those involved, it was nothing short of transformative. In the shelter, where the man was finally able to sit down and feel the warmth of safety, a deep sense of gratitude washed over him. The cold, lonely streets were behind him now. But it wasn't just the physical warmth he felt. It was the emotional warmth of knowing that someone cared when he felt the most vulnerable. It wasn't until the next day that the man learned the identity of the woman who had shown him such kindness. He had no idea who she was at first. Her actions had made no mention of her royal status. But then, a volunteer at the shelter mentioned her name, and suddenly everything clicked. The man's eyes widened in disbelief. "Wait, you mean the princess?" He could hardly believe it. The woman who had helped him wasn't just a stranger. She was Kate Middleton, the Princess of Wales herself. At first, the man was stunned by the realization. Why would someone like her take the time to help him? What had driven her to step out of her car and cross a dark street to talk to a stranger in need? But as he reflected on the kindness in her voice, her steady and calm presence, everything became clearer. Kate Middleton had acted not as a princess but as a person, a human being, offering help when it was most needed. That's when the story began to spread. A local shopkeeper, reviewing security footage, noticed the unusual sight of a well-dressed woman helping a distressed man in the rain. The shopkeeper posted the footage online, and within hours, the video had gone viral. Social media users flooded platforms with praise for Kate's quiet act of compassion. Comments rolled in from all over. A true role model. This is why we love Kate. Her kindness is what makes her truly royal. The footage showed no sound, but the visuals were clear enough. A woman, walking calmly through the rain, offering kindness to someone in need. Her actions spoke louder than words ever could. But for Kate, the recognition didn't matter. As the car drove away from the scene that night, she felt a quiet satisfaction, knowing the man was safe. She hadn't done this for fame or the accolades. She had done it because it was the right thing to do. The warmth of the shelter where the man now sat, the feeling of knowing he wouldn't spend another cold, lonely night on the streets, this was the true reward for Kate. Days later, the man sent a heartfelt letter of thanks to Kate. He wrote about how her kindness had made him feel seen, not as a burden, but as a person worthy of compassion. "You reminded me that there's still kindness in the world," he wrote. A simple but profound acknowledgement of the impact she had on his life. Kate, reading the letter quietly, felt a surge of emotion. She placed it in a drawer, knowing she would likely never meet the man again. But she had done what she could, and for Kate, that was enough. This story is more than just a tale of royal charity. It's a reminder that kindness, no matter how small, can have ripple effects beyond what we can imagine. In a world that often feels disconnected, Kate Middleton's quiet act of compassion shows us the power of being present for someone in need. It's not always about grand gestures. It's about being there when someone needs it the most. And maybe, just maybe, that's the true magic of kindness. It doesn't need to be seen by the world to change someone's life. Reflection and impact. In our fast-paced world, we often overlook the little moments that have the power to change someone's life. But it's these quiet, unnoticed acts of kindness that can leave a lasting impact. Just think about it. How often do we brush off the subtle gestures that, on the surface, may seem insignificant, but actually hold the weight of compassion? It's these moments that can truly shift the world around us. And when someone like Kate Middleton, a global icon, takes a step back from the spotlight to perform such an act, it sends a powerful message that even the most simple things matter. After the encounter with the distressed man, Kate couldn't help but reflect on the experience. Was it the warmth of the moment, or the human connection that stayed with her? In her quiet way, Kate realized that sometimes the biggest difference isn't made by grand gestures or monumental actions. Instead, it's made in those fleeting instances when we choose to see someone in need and simply offer our presence and support. She didn't just give the man help, she gave him dignity. And in that moment, it became clear. Sometimes kindness doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. What followed was something unexpected, yet profoundly moving. A thank you letter from the man Kate had helped. This letter, simple yet sincere, was a reminder that her kindness had gone beyond just providing help for the night. The man didn't just receive shelter, he received the reassurance that kindness still exists in this world. The letter expressed gratitude, but also something deeper, the feeling of being seen, of being valued in a way he hadn't felt for a long time. Isn't that what everyone needs at some point in their life? A reminder that they matter, that they're not invisible? This act of compassion, quiet as it may have been, wasn't about the recognition or the viral video that later surfaced. It wasn't about being hailed as a hero or the royal status of Kate herself. It was about showing someone that in a world full of noise, there is still room for silence, understanding, and warmth. The man, after realizing who had helped him, didn't feel overwhelmed by her status. Instead, he was deeply moved by how she treated him like a fellow human being. No royal titles, no superiority, just kindness. Now, let's pause for a moment and think. How many times have we passed someone struggling, unsure whether to reach out? The impact of small acts, like the one Kate showed that night, proves that it's not the size of the gesture that matters, but the genuine intent behind it. Whether it's offering a smile to a stranger, listening to someone vent, or offering a helping hand, these moments build trust and human connection. Sometimes, it's the smallest things that speak the loudest. And while the world may not always stop to notice, the ripple effect is real. People share these stories, whether online or face-to-face, spreading the message that kindness, no matter how subtle, is still relevant. Kate's gesture wasn't just an isolated act. It became part of a larger conversation. And maybe that's the most significant thing. It reminds us that every one of us, in our own way, has the power to make someone's day better with just a small, kind act. So, let's not wait for a moment to be perfect or a cause to be grand. We can all be the difference in someone's life, just like Kate did. The next time you see someone in need, think about what a difference it could make to simply be present, to offer a small gesture of kindness. Because in the end, it's the little things that have the biggest impact. So, what do you think about this surprising moment? Does it change the way you view the Duchess? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you want more insider stories and unexpected royal moments, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a surprise reveal.